Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Primetime News. We've got a lot of stuff to go over today, including the Primetime Crime Series, some absolutely crazy FedEx stories. But first, we have got to start off with some really important USPS stories you need to know about. All right, as you can see here from this headline, Postmaster General DeJoy ends USPS 30-year discount postage program. Now, that obviously sounds very concerning, especially if you're in the reselling community, because the name of this program, which started in 1992, is called the Reseller Postage Program. Now, what exactly does all of that mean? Well, it turns out that this program was originally designed to provide smaller businesses access to bigger shipping discounts that larger businesses would normally get. Larger businesses normally get that commercial based shipping discount, or some really big businesses like Amazon will actually enter into what's called an NSA, which is a negotiated service agreement with USPS, and that has to be approved by the Postal Regulatory Committee as well. So, this is something that's on a smaller scale. It's actually better postage rates than you're going to get from the retail rate, but it's not quite as good as the rates you're going to get from the commercial based shipping discounts or from those negotiated service agreement discounts. Now, most people in the reselling community first heard about this from this July 15th article. But going back and researching it some more, the first announcement about it actually came out through this tweet on July 5th from the Capital Forum. Now, if you're not familiar with the Capital Forum, they're an investigative and legal analysis firm, and they've been following up on this reseller postage a discount program for quite a while, because they've claimed for a while as well that it has been abused. Now, their tweet says USPS policy: USPS cancels all postage reseller contracts effective October 1st, that's of 2022. Package Shippers Association calls emergency meeting. Now, if that doesn't sound serious, right? And if that's not going to set off a lot of alarm bells for people, I don't know what will. But you've got to dig deeper into this to understand exactly what's going on, because it's causing a lot of confusion. Basically, there's another company, and it's the company that did this article here. It's called Lynn's Stamp News, and they actually sent an inquiry into USPS to figure out what was going to happen with this program. And USPS actually responded to them by saying, the Postal Service undertook an evaluation of its reseller program and has determined that the program, as currently structured, is not resulting in the customer benefits and efficiencies that were originally envisioned, has caused difficulties in monitoring compliance with pricing and other terms, and should be discontinued. And that's a very interesting about face from USPS, who has been defending this program for a very long time, amidst accusations from many different places that this program has been abused. Now, with regards to the abuse, the complaint has been that some of the places passing on these shipping discounts to smaller businesses were actually passing on bigger shipping discounts than these small businesses really should get. In other words, they were basically getting something more closer to the commercial shipping type of discount than the smaller discount they actually should have been receiving. And so there have been investigations into this, about these accusations, but USPS has always hit back and said, no, people are basing these determinations off of incorrect information. There have been some people who have questioned the motivation of some of the businesses that have actually questioned this. At the end of the day, for a while, it was very difficult to figure out exactly what was going on. Was the system being abused, or was it not being abused? But it turns out that once DeJoy found out about it and he heard caught whiff of any type of abuse, he wanted to end it immediately. But he did get some resistance trying to end it, but ultimately he did have the final say so, and so he did eliminate it. Now, in terms of the reselling community, people who use eBay, people who use Amazon, the question has been, is this going to affect us? Now, right now, it doesn't seem like it's going to affect us right now. Now, remember, this came out on July 15th. I'm doing this story on July 17th. So, what I'm saying here is subject to change based on new information that comes out about this. But eBay is using the commercial based pricing, which is based on an e postage discount system. And that is separate from this reselling postage program. At least it seems to be. Now, it's definitely different from the negotiated service agreements that Amazon gets. And Amazon has announced that this is not going to change the postage that they use. Pirate Ship has apparently said that this is not going to affect them either. And stamps.com, right now things seem like they're the way they should be on stamps.com with regards to pricing. But that's interesting because stamps.com has said in the past that if any of these discount programs get cut, that it's going to affect their ability to provide good pricing to people. And you know who else said that? Pitney Bowes said that. If you're not familiar with Pitney Bowes, look at your global shipping program. If you use it, look at look at your printing labels that come off of that. It says Pitney Bowes on it. eBay uses Pitney Bowes to power its shipping, and they're a big company that gets discounted rates through USPS. So stay tuned. We'll see if there's more information on it that comes out in the near future, and if so, I'll definitely update you on it. This story, though, does show that DeJoy is willing to make many significant changes to how USPS has traditionally operated in order to completely restructure the way it works. And so this is just another example, ending a 30-year program. We've talked about many other significant changes, and now we're going to talk about another one that definitely is coming, and it is going to impact everyone who watches this and everyone who ships items that would go in these particular classes. So, what the heck am I talking about? I'm talking about first class package shipping, retail ground shipping, and parcel select ground shipping. If you thought that DeJoy was done killing things off at USPS, he's not. So, retail ground shipping and parcel select shipping, those services are being eliminated and they are being combined with first class package shipping. This goes very well with what I was saying in some prior primetime news episodes that USPS is trying to speed up those ground services, the retail ground and the parcel select, to make it more close to a first class package service. So I guess they finally just figured, why don't we just call it one thing in general? Now, what they're going to call it, that has not been announced yet. Is the term first class going to be used for packages anymore? We don't know. In terms of the pricing, that hasn't been announced yet either. As I get more information on it, I will definitely inform you on it. So make sure you stay tuned to the primetime news. Now, in another important update from USPS this week, they announced that they are increasing the free insurance for priority mail from $50 to $100. Now, let me know in the comments section if you have ever had a successful USPS insurance claim paid from something that arrived broken or damaged, or let me know if it's never happened to you. Can't wait to see the comments on this one. All right, so let's jump into the Primetime Crime series. We've got an important video to see here of a theft that happened through a deal that went wrong on the Offer Up app in my former stomping grounds in Miami-Dade. And unfortunately, the woman who was trying to sell this phone for $750 to a stranger set it up at her house. She gave the person her address. The person pulled up. There were other people in the vehicle. She did sense that something wasn't quite right. So she asked the person to get out of the vehicle. And here's what happened.
A woman is dragged by a car with a trio of thieves outside of her home. The woman who also got her foot ran over
Ow.
says she used the OfferUp app to sell an iPhone 12 Pro Max.
Are you available to meet? Send me an address.
That's what the supposed buyer texted after she agreed to bargain the phone down to $750. So she sent him her address. The woman who does not want to be identified admits it was a mistake.
There was something like off, so that's why I said to him, can you step out of the car? While I was looking through the phone, he snatched the phone out of my hands. I was just in disbelief.
After the man and two others in the vehicle sped off, the victim texted the phone robber saying she went to the police, to which he shamelessly replied, "Cool, take a good look here. He's a liar and a thief."
He is a liar and a thief. And so if you know anything about who he is, if he looks familiar to you, please contact the police, Miami-Dade County, to try to catch this person, because as of the time the story came out, he had not been caught yet. But please don't give people your home address, especially for really big purchases like that, and especially with cell phones. I'm sure that there are honest people that deal in cell phones. However, there's a lot of shady people involved, a lot of criminality involved in cell phone dealing. So that's one of those areas you have to be extra careful in when setting up a deal like this. If you are going to set up a deal like this, you should definitely go with multiple people, and you should do it at a police station. So, and also, I would not suggest chasing after the person like that. She really could have got seriously injured there. Fortunately, she seemed to have got out okay, but that was really dangerous. All right, now one of the things we've talked a lot about in the Primetime Crime series is retail theft, and here we've got another story. The San Francisco Police Department seized $200,000 of allegedly stolen CVS and Walgreens looking items from a San Francisco man's home. This guy was allegedly selling this stuff out of his home. And one of the things they talk about in the article that they found out, because, they obviously knew these things were getting stolen, but they were thinking, well, maybe they're selling them on like a street corner somewhere, something like that. But no, it turns out he was selling them on Amazon, eBay, and Facebook Marketplace. And how much was he making? $500,000 a year. This is just some of the stuff that they brought in, and they showed this off in these pictures. You could see, listen, how do you walk out of a CVS and a Walgreens with a Dyson vacuum cleaner? How does that happen? I could see maybe getting away with like a candy bar or something like that, but a vacuum cleaner? Like, people just like walk out with this stuff and no one says anything. And they got to start taking this more seriously. Yes, I know they're showing all this off, that they seized all this, and that's great. So now he can't resell it. But in terms of what he's been charged with, he's been charged with 1 count of possession of stolen property. Now, come on. Now it's true in legal cases like this, they'll start off with 1 charge and then they could add more onto it. But I think, and with something like this, just to send a message out there to people, like earlier on, charge these people with more stuff right from the beginning, and just adjust it as necessary as time goes on when you learn more about the case. But my goodness, this is just absolutely crazy that this much stuff was stolen and this was going on for so many years. Now, one of the types of legal cases I've been following for a long time is whether or not Amazon and other e-commerce platforms such as eBay can be held strictly liable as a product seller in product liability lawsuits. So this would be, for example, in cases where someone is significantly injured or killed, or if there's significant property damage that arises from a product that is purchased on one of these platforms. Now, Amazon has long held the position that they cannot be held strictly liable as a product seller because they say they are technically not the seller. They say they are facilitating the sale between a buyer and another seller. Now, that position of theirs has been held up in other state courts, but that has not stopped other plaintiff attorneys in other states from pursuing cases to see if they could get an opposite outcome. And that's exactly what happened this week in a New Jersey district court. And this involved a case in which these parents who purchased a hoverboard off of Amazon, they brought it home, it caught fire, and it burned the house down. So they want to sue Amazon, but in order to successfully sue them as a product seller, they need to be defined in the case as a product seller. The reason why Amazon was defined in New Jersey as a product seller is really very simple. You just have to go to the New Jersey state law and see how they define a product seller. And there's lots of technical language that's used in there, but the key is that they say a product seller is someone who otherwise is involved in placing a product in the line of commerce. And I don't see how there's any way out of that for Amazon because they clearly are involved in placing a product in the line of commerce. Now, what is this going to mean for Amazon and other e commerce platforms? It's really too early to tell yet because this is just one decision in one state court. But what it does do is it does put a little chink in Amazon's armor. And the more cases like this that are decided in the plaintiff's favor, and then if there are successful product liability lawsuits against Amazon that occur, if they start incurring too many costs as a result of this, that's when you might see changes. But right now, it's too early to tell. All right, now in another primetime crime story, we're going back to USPS here. Their regulatory agency fired its first chief data officer, that is a high level ranking person at USPS, following a felony arrest for meeting with a minor for lewd purposes. Now, I don't want to get into the salacious details of all of that, but the important thing is that this was somebody who was going to play a big role in helping to monitor package flow through USPS. Remember, there's supposed to be a tracking system that everybody can access. And so we could see whether or not everything is flowing through the system properly. And so now they just lost the person who was supposed to, spearhead all of this. And so I'm sure they'll find somebody else, but it's just an unnecessary thing to happen to just mess up operations. So unfortunate, but that's what happened. All right, now here's an important update to the Zata Kick story. It's important to pay attention to it, even if you're not someone who resells sneakers, because it teaches an important lesson about being the victim of a scamming operation. Basically, what happened here, to recap, is that this is a guy named Michael Malexita, and he had this company called Zata Kicks, in which he would provide resellers access to high value slash limited edition sneakers. And these, by all accounts, were authentic sneakers, and this guy would deliver on what he said he had. Now, sometimes it would take weeks, sometimes it would even take months, but eventually he did deliver. He became very popular as a result of this. And eventually, what wound up happening is that he wound up taking in more orders and taking in more money than he could actually provide product for. And he got in over his head on it. And eventually it got to a point where he just had to stop and dissolve the business. But a lot of people lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars on product that this guy knew he really couldn't fulfill. And so what happened is that the feds got involved. The FBI is involved in this case, and this case has gone to a receivership. And there's people who are involved legally in trying to get the money back to the creditors, because this guy was using creditors. Well, how are they getting some of the monies back to the creditors? What they're doing, they got a lot of these pairs of sneakers. They got, let's see, 60,000 pairs of sneakers, and then another 1,100 pairs of sneakers, $6.1 million of cash, watches, jewelries, handbags, all sorts of stuff. But they have no intention of providing this product to the people who purchased it. They're just going to sell it to somebody else to get money from it and then pay the creditors back. If I was someone who was the victim of one of these scams, I would be absolutely furious because I was like, I deserve my product. But apparently that's not what's happening here. So, just a lesson to be super, super careful who you are dealing with, especially when you're dealing with enormous sums of money like this. So Etsy rolled out a new selling app this week. I think it's really important for eBay to pay attention to how Etsy developed this app. If you remember from a prior primetime news story I covered, Etsy did this by putting out a beta version of the app that allowed their users to interact with it and provide them direct feedback with what they liked and what they didn't like. And so that helped to shape what came out. And the types of things that you can do on the selling app now includes easily checking order status. You can get at a glance insights such as determining whether or not the person who you're dealing with is a repeat buyer. You could purchase and print shipping labels directly from the app. You could add photos and videos from the app. You could manage your inventory through the app. There's lots of things that you could do. All right, so I don't know how many Snapchat users we have on here. To my children's horror, I actually am on Snapchat. I don't really use it much, but I do have an account. And it's mostly for younger people. A lot of teenagers use it, and some young adults in their 20s. And there's some older people who do it too, but just not too much. It's more for younger people. But it basically allows people to communicate with pictures and video, and they go away really quick, which is why it's called a snap. So there is, though, a reseller app called Galaxy that is being integrated within Snapchat, but it's for influencers at this point. So people who have really big followings that younger folks, for example, would like to follow and purchase some stuff from. So they could actually go on, they could hop on, see their favorite influencer in a video on Snapchat selling something through this Galaxy app. And, next thing you know it, they've bought a bunch of things from them. And so eventually, this might be a thing that extends beyond to other people. But, for it to really make inroads, I mean, you're going to have older people using Snapchat, not just younger people. All right. So we have a few crazy and fun stories coming up in just a moment. But before I get there, I just have to pass this on. I'll keep it brief, but I have been talking about this since I began my channel, the importance of reselling comic books. I don't care if you're not interested in it at all. Take notice. 2+ billion in sales in 2021. That is a 62% increase since 2020, and it's a 70% increase from 2019. And it looks like it's going to get even bigger and better in 2022. I am doubling down on my comic book investments. The sales are absolutely bonkers and crazy out of this world. If you are interested in getting into comics but have absolutely no idea where to start, click on my video up top, which talks about how to get into comic books if you don't know anything about them. All right, so I know many people watching the primetime news are used to me showing a story of a FedEx worker that did something inspirational at the end. And don't worry, I still have a story like that I'm going to show in a few moments. But when FedEx messes up, I've got to mention it. And boy, oh boy, did they mess up in this case. As you can see from the title, Georgia parents still in distress 3 years after FedEx loses their son's remains. Now, this is a really weird case. Basically, what happened is there was this guy, he's 32 years old, and he died in this botched drug deal. So his family reported him missing. He's found 10 days after that. But what was found was partially skeletized remains. And because the remains were skeletonized, it wasn't immediately obvious what the cause of death was, and that required further analysis. So the county pathologist arranged for the skeletonized remains to be sent out for further analysis. Well, this was arranged to be done through a FedEx shipment. There's just one big problem with that. That's illegal. You cannot send skeletonized remains in a box through FedEx. It's not allowed. So FedEx violated all sorts of procedures by allowing this to happen. The only place that is allowed to ship those types of remains is USPS. So it's really a big mystery what happened to the remains. It's really sad. And apparently, from the story, FedEx is really being tight-lipped about what happened here, not giving the parents good answers on this. So there really needs to be a thorough investigation into this, and the parents really deserve some better answers about what happened here. It's just really sad. All right, now speaking of sad, sadness was the reason why a FedEx driver said that he tossed $40,000 worth of packages into a ravine. What? I actually know someone secondhand who lost a $1,500 package that was tossed into that very ravine. I mean, it just boggles the mind. I mean, the person said that he just wasn't interested in doing his job anymore. Well, okay, I can understand that. If you're not interested in doing your job anymore, then retire or get a different job, but don't take it out on the people whose packages that you're shipping. He said that he just was going through a tough time and made some bad decisions. Well, I'll bet, because now he has 5 felony counts on him and 5 warrants, but he's not in custody right now. And guess why? Because he's working as a driver for another package delivering company. All right, now one of the things we've talked a lot about on my primetime treasure hunts is the importance of looking under tables. And that's one of the things that this guy did. His name is Bruce Scapecci. He went to a garage sale. He looked under the table. He saw a baseball bat selling for $1. He thought that there was something unusual about it. He had a gut feeling. He went and grabbed a pencil, and here's what happened.
There's an area on the bat where he rubbed a lead pencil against. And if you're out in the sun, you can see the name Jackie Robinson. I was like, holy cow. So it went from being on the ground under a table, ready to be sold for $1 to in the house very quickly. My uncle, Joe Hatton, played for the Brooklyn Dodgers. He was a left-handed pitcher, and they called him Lefty Joe. And he and Jackie played baseball together in the 40s.
She said, yes, and he was one of the few players with room with Jackie Robinson. And I just thought that was incredible.
We're going to keep it. I mean, the stories, with my uncle and him, yeah, it's not going anywhere.
All right, so here's our final story. And yes, it does involve FedEx workers again doing something really good. They actually have a program through FedEx. This is what I'm talking about with the culture there. It's called the Delivering for Good initiative. And they do things like this where they help save these 7 chimps who are in the path of these wildfires in California. They had been living on this refugee area that was now defunct. And so they needed somewhere else to go, and they needed to be transported to a new refugee area in Fort Pierce, Florida. But getting them there, obviously that's quite the ordeal. That's a big, big trip. And so, there's a video here. I'll show you a few parts of it that shows some of their travel over there. But I thought their names were really funny. Vanilla, Shake. I love how Vanilla and Shake. Caleb, Ernesta, Jake, Jeff, and Magic. They were among actually 400 animals that were evacuated. So let me just show you a little bit about their journey from California to Florida. I mean, that is kind of scary. Like, I would be scared. Wouldn't you be scared if you were to chimp in that thing? But I guess that's what they got to do.
Take one more. Got it? Good girl.
I hope they have lights inside those things. Is that Gatorade? They should give him a Dew. Give him a Mountain Dew. you imagine a chimpanzee on Mountain Dew?
Incredible.
That's cool. There they are. They have to be on a 2-month quarantine on the island before they could mix in with the other animals. But I think they're safe now. I think they'll be good. Look at all those peppers they could put in their mouth. All right, folks. Well, that is another episode of Primetime News. Let me know what your favorite stories are down below. I've got to go. I've got some shipping I've got to do. And speaking of do, I'm going to throw my Mountain Dew today, see what happens. The last time I threw a bottle cap and it exploded. So I can't even imagine what's going to happen with a Mountain Dew bottle now. It's empty. I already drank it. So hopefully nothing too bad, but let's see. Whoa, God, did you hear that noise on the way over? That was crazy. The Notebook never even did that. Wow. All right, folks, this opens all new opportunities. If I never knew it did that. Anyway, I'll see you at the next one, everyone. Take care.